Now, with IDF operations ongoing in the West Bank, what's the fate of Palestinians there? Could there have been a bargaining chip at the West Bank for Gaza? What do you think?
Okay, allow me to set the tone by stating my personal conviction. I try my best to not be emotional about these things and try to be as logical as possible, but based on all the circumstances and all the new developments, I have a personal conviction before answering your question, which is whether Netanyahu, Itamar Ben-Gvir, and Smotrich like it or not, the Palestinian men, women, and children will have a country of their own, period. That will happen for sure. For example, Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, is working around the clock to push the whole world to agree on simple yet crucial premise, which is the fact that international law exists to apply to everyone. Israel, unfortunately, seems to act with full impunity. The United Nations Security Council resolutions don't apply to Israel. Full impunity, a disgrace. The International Criminal Court in The Hague doesn't apply to Israel. Full impunity. Disgrace. The international consensus doesn't apply to them. A complete American security, political, economic, and legal umbrella shields Israel. It's absolutely a disgrace. And the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, and the Prime Minister, he repeatedly stated on multiple occasions, the last was in the Shura Council opening weeks ago, that there will be no normalization with Israel without the establishment of a Palestinian state, period. Some in the West and Israel dismiss these statements or try to dismiss these statements, and they consider these rhetoric just for domestic audiences. But I believe them to be a genuine position, and it doesn't only come from a humanitarian aspect, but also from a logical, pragmatic aspect, because how can we have a safe Middle East that can be transformed into the new Europe, as the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has said earlier, without having this conflict to be ended for good. So that's why I have big faith in the collective decisions and working groups in the Middle East and the world to find a way through which they can actually put enough pressure. So maybe it can be seen as a wishful thinking by my side, but I'm really optimistic that things will move in the right direction. Definitely, it's a good step. We have seen how the U.S. Political fabric have been somehow trying to gain credit out of this, even though it's actually a very late decision. It should have happened months and months ago. And we know that the two U.S. political parties and how they operate, mostly in a ping-pong kind of policy, where each strives to score points against the other. But to answer your question, definitely we can actually say that there is a lesson to be learned out of this. We have definitely seen how the Trump administration, even before assuming office, they have influenced this decision heavily. And definitely the Biden administration and Mr. Blinken have been working to get the same objective. So the lesson that we can learn out of this is that once you have one objective across the board, you can actually get things done, apply collective pressure, and save lives. And that's what we need. And we should also not forget to give due credit to Cairo and Doha, Qatar and Egypt for their remarkable mediation efforts. So definitely it's a good step in the right direction. We are still having a lot of pain for the suffering that happened. We are speaking of more than 45,000 people got killed by this inhumane bombardment by the Israeli IDF. It's a very sad story we have witnessed in this century, and we should always strive to never have it back, and we should strive to have an end and a complete cessation of all hostilities from all sides.
All right, now reports suggest that Israel's prime minister promised to resume fighting in Gaza after the ceasefire. Now, will Israel stick to this agreement or would they resume fighting? Recall that the IDF has broken ceasefires before in Lebanon. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, definitely. We can see that there is a big rift within the Israeli government. We are speaking of the most radical, far-right, extremist government in the history of Israel. We've seen how Ben-Gvir and Smotrich opposition to the ceasefire, they could actually indeed cause internal frictions within Netanyahu's coalition. These figures have significantly swayed the whole process within Israel, and we don't see any hope for the peace talk with the Palestinians in the foreseeable future with this government in place. So definitely there should be some kind of pressure from an outside power that has enough leverage on them, which is the United States, to have a way through which we can get to a point where we can have a government that is sane, that is logical, that is humane, that can actually lead the peace process in the Middle East. And we know, like, Trump has three agendas in the Middle East, three paramount agendas. First is to end the bloodshed. The second is maximum pressure on Iran. And the third is to have normalization between Israel and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which the United States and everyone knows that is considered to be almost impossible for it to materialize without having the Palestinian cause to be addressed fairly and justly.